Some people call him the greatest visionary of our time. They speak of him with the same reverence they reserve for the great inventors of history. Men like Edison, Tesla, and Ford. They point to the rockets soaring into the sky, the sleek electric cars gliding down the roads, the constellation of satellites circling the Earth, and they say, this is the work of someone who will change the future. Others see him very differently. To them, he is reckless, unpredictable, too willing to gamble on projects that could fail in spectacular ways. They speak of the tweets that move stock markets, of the sudden decisions that disrupt entire industries, of the unfiltered comments that spark outrage. In their eyes, he is a reminder that brilliance and chaos often walk side by side. Elon Musk lives in the middle of these extremes. He is, at once, a man of meticulous engineering and wild imagination. One moment he is in the factory at 2 a.m, hands-on with the production of a car. The next, he is announcing plans to send humans to Mars. He thrives in that space between practicality and dream, between the tangible and the impossible. But before he was a billionaire, before he had the resources to build rockets and revolutionize the auto industry, he was just a boy who read endlessly, a boy who preferred thoughts to conversation, a boy growing up far from Silicon Valley, in a place where the future seemed distant, and the world's great innovations felt like they belonged to another planet entirely. Tonight, we will travel back to that beginning. We will move slowly through the moments that shaped him, the influences, the hardships, the obsessions. We will watch the pieces come together, the curiosity, the resilience, the restless ambition, and we will see how these elements, carried across decades, would build the foundation for the man the world would come to know and argue about. Part 1. Early life in South Africa. Elon Musk entered the world on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, one of South Africa's 3 capital cities. Pretoria was not a sprawling metropolis like New York or London, but a quieter place. Its streets lined with jacaranda trees that burst into purple bloom every spring. The city's colonial architecture and wide avenues gave it an orderly appearance. But beneath the surface, South Africa was a nation under deep tension. The Musk household reflected a blend of cultures and talents. His father, Elon Musk, was an electromechanical engineer, a man comfortable with blueprints, circuits, and the practical mechanics of the world. He had a sharp mind for problem solving, the kind of person who could take apart a complex machine and put it back together, without missing a single piece. His mother, May Musk, had been born in Canada but raised in South Africa. She was a model, her image gracing the covers of magazines, but she was also a trained dietitian, balancing the glamour of fashion with the discipline of science. Elon was the first of 3 children. His younger brother, Kimball, would later become a chef and entrepreneur. His sister, Tosca, would pursue a career in filmmaking. As the eldest, Elon often observed more than he participated, quietly watching the world around him and retreating into his own thoughts. From a young age, there were hints that Elon's mind worked differently. He could become so absorbed in his thoughts that people wondered if he had trouble hearing. His mother would sometimes wave her hand in front of his face to get his attention, only for him to blink and return from whatever far-off world he had been visiting in his mind. Books were the key to those worlds. Elon read with a hunger that seemed endless. Science fiction, fantasy, encyclopedias, technical manuals. He didn't just enjoy the stories. He dissected them, thought about how the worlds could be built, how the technologies could work. The Encyclopedia Britannica was not a reference book for him. It was a challenge to be completed. The South Africa of his youth was a place of contradictions. On one hand, it offered a comfortable life to certain families, with access to good schools and safe neighborhoods. On the other, it was under the rigid, unjust system of apartheid, a political and social structure that kept the country isolated from much of the world. For a boy like Elon, whose mind was already wandering far beyond national borders, the sense of limitation was real. When Elon was around 10 years old, his father brought home something that would change his life. A Commodore VIC-Vinci, one of the early personal computers. It was a beige, boxy machine with a tiny amount of memory by modern standards. It came with a simple programming manual, the kind that suggested a child might take 6 months to learn the basics. Elon finished it in 3 days. Programming opened a new universe to him. It wasn't just reading about imaginary worlds anymore. He could create them. He began experimenting with simple games and programs, eventually producing a space-themed shooter called Blaststar. At the age of 12, he sold the game's code to a computer magazine for $500. It was his first taste of combining creativity with commerce, and it left a deep impression. School life was less rewarding. Elon was smaller than many of his classmates, and his quiet nature made him a target for bullying. In one incident, a group of boys threw him down a set of stairs and beat him so badly he was hospitalized with a broken nose. These experiences were painful, but they also began to form a layer of resilience around him. He learned that while the physical world could be cruel, the worlds in his mind were untouchable. His relationship with his father was complex. Elon Musk was undeniably intelligent and capable, but Elon would later describe him as a difficult and sometimes unkind figure. The lessons he learned from his father were often technical, but rarely emotional. Elon absorbed the engineering mindset, the ability to break down a problem into parts, but he also developed a determination to live life on his own terms. By his teenage years, Elon had already decided that South Africa was not where his future lay. The thought of mandatory military service under an apartheid government only strengthened his resolve to leave. His mother's Canadian citizenship provided a pathway, one that could eventually lead him to the United States, the center of the technological universe he dreamed of joining. At 17, he packed his belongings, said his goodbyes, and boarded a plane. It was not an easy decision. Leaving home rarely is, but for Elon Musk, it was necessary. Pretoria had given him the foundation of curiosity, resilience, and technical skill. But the next chapter would demand something more, something only the wider world could offer. Part 2. The leap to North America in 1989, the world was changing. The Cold War was drawing to a close. The Berlin Wall was about to fall, and the hum of personal computers was beginning to spread from offices into living rooms. The Internet, still a mysterious network known only to academics and researchers, was quietly laying the groundwork for a revolution. For 17-year-old Elon Musk, these changes were happening half a world away. In Pretoria, the political landscape was still shaped by apartheid, and although cracks in the system were beginning to show, the country remained isolated. To a young man whose dreams reached for the stars, South Africa felt like a closed box, and the United States, or even Canada, looked like the key to opening it. His mother's Canadian citizenship gave him a route out. Canada might not have been Silicon Valley, but it was a gateway, a stepping stone toward the place he believed all great technological change would come from. And so, with a determination that was equal parts youthful optimism and calculated risk, Elon decided to go. It was not a glamorous departure. There was no private jet, no corporate send-off, no television cameras, just a young man with a single suitcase, a small amount of money, and the conviction that the world beyond South Africa was worth the leap. The decision carried weight. Leaving meant starting from scratch, in a place where he had no established safety net. He boarded a plane bound for Montreal, the first Canadian city he would set foot in. The air was cooler, crisper than Pretoria's mild winter, and the streets bustled with a rhythm entirely different from home. He had an address, a relative's house, and a sense of direction, but very little else. Montreal was not his final stop. Within weeks, Elon began making his way westward, looking for opportunity. He spent some time in Saskatchewan, staying with a second cousin and working odd jobs. For a while, he labored on a farm, tending to vegetables under the hot prairie sun. It was physically demanding work, far removed from the world of computers and rockets, but it offered him something equally important: the beginnings of independence in a foreign country. During those early months, Elon was often reminded of the vastness of North America. In South Africa, distances between cities were considerable, but here the scale was on another level. Hours on buses and trains brought him through endless farmland, mountain ranges, and city skylines, each one a hint of the different lives people were living across the continent. In 1990, Elon enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. Queen's was not the most prestigious technological institution in North America, but it had two advantages. First, it was far more affordable for a Canadian resident than attending an American university outright. Second, it brought him into contact with people from all over the world, many of them ambitious and ready to make their mark. Kingston itself was a historic city, sitting where the St. Lawrence River meets Lake Ontario. The limestone buildings of the university seemed almost timeless, and in winter the campus would be dusted with snow, the cold air curling into clouds with every breath. For Elon, this was the first real taste of academic freedom in a setting that encouraged exploration. At Queen's, he was known for his relentless curiosity. Professors recall him as a student who asked not just about the assigned material, but about everything around it. What the implications were, what the future might hold if certain technologies were pursued. His questions sometimes went far beyond the scope of the lecture, pushing into territory that was more speculative than academic. But it was clear that he wasn't interested in simply learning what was on the test. It was also at Queen's that Elon met a fellow student named Justine Wilson, who would later become his first wife. She was a writer drawn to storytelling and literature, and while their fields of interest could not have been more different, their conversations were lively. In the quiet hours after classes, they would sometimes talk about ambition. Hers in the world of fiction, his in the world of technology, and what it meant to pursue something bigger than yourself. After 2 years at Queen's, Elon made his next move, one that brought him closer to the heart of the technology world. He transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States, an Ivy League institution that offered him not just academic credentials, but access to a network of thinkers, entrepreneurs, and investors. Philadelphia was unlike anywhere he had lived before. It was a city layered with history, cobblestone streets, colonial buildings, and monuments to the country's revolutionary past. But it also buzzed with modern energy. The University of Pennsylvania's campus straddled that divide, with its ivy-covered halls and cutting-edge research centers. At Penn, Elon pursued a dual degree, one in physics, the other in economics, through the Wharton School. The combination might seem unusual, but to him it made perfect sense. Physics gave him a framework for understanding the fundamental laws of the universe, while economics provided the tools for turning ideas into scalable realities. He wasn't just interested in invention. He wanted to know how to build organizations that could sustain those inventions. His time at Penn was marked by a near-constant workload. He wasn't the kind of student to coast through classes. When he wasn't studying, he was brainstorming ideas for potential ventures. In one well-remembered period, Elon and a group of housemates rented a 10-bedroom home and turned it into an unofficial nightclub to help cover rent. The parties would draw hundreds of people, and Elon, despite his reserved nature, was at the center of the operation, handling logistics, ensuring everything ran smoothly, and quietly observing how people interacted in social spaces. While other students might have been content with academic achievement alone, Elon treated Penn as a testing ground. Every idea, no matter how small, was a rehearsal for the larger goals he carried in the back of his mind. And always, there was the awareness that Silicon Valley, the promised land of technology startups, was waiting on the horizon. By the time he graduated in 1995, earning his degrees in both physics and economics, Elon Musk was no longer the boy from Pretoria, tentatively exploring a foreign country. He had become a man with a plan, and that plan was to go where the center of innovation burned brightest. The move to California would not just be a relocation. It would be the beginning of a new era in his life, one where ambition would meet opportunity, and with that next step, the pace of his life would accelerate in ways even he could barely imagine. The mid-1990s Silicon Valley was a place unlike any other in the world. Imagine streets lined with small tech startups, the air thick with anticipation and a hint of caffeine-fueled exhaustion. Garage doors opened to reveal rooms full of buzzing computers, tangled wires, and whiteboards scrawled with ideas and sketches. This was the birthplace of the Internet age, a world of scrappy inventors and dreamers racing to turn code into gold. For Elon Musk, arriving in this world was like stepping into a fever dream. The region itself was a mosaic of contrasts. Shiny new tech buildings rose near weathered office parks, while entrepreneurs in faded jeans and t-shirts debated the future over cheap coffee and energy drinks. Ideas were currency, and the willingness to work through the night was a badge of honor. Elon didn't just observe this world, he immersed himself in it, adopting a relentless work ethic that set him apart even here. His days blended into nights, blurring into a continuous loop of coding, problem-solving, and planning. At Zip2's small office, there were few comforts. The hum of servers and the glow of monitors were constant companions, while the faint scent of stale pizza and burnt coffee lingered in the air. Elon was known to work for stretches of 20 hours or more, fueled by sheer willpower and an almost obsessive focus. His commitment was not merely to the business, but to the idea that the future was waiting to be built, and he was the one to build it. This single-minded drive sometimes left little room for anything else. Personal relationships, leisure, even sleep were secondary. Sleep was a luxury Elon couldn't afford. The mattress rolled out beneath his desk was more a refuge than a resting place. He would fall asleep amid the low mechanical buzz of computer fans, only to wake hours later and dive back into coding or planning meetings. Mornings began with a quick shower at the YMCA, a brief moment of solitude before plunging into the day's demands. The internet landscape itself was challenging. The tools available to build websites were primitive by today's standards. Coding required a deep understanding of HTML, rudimentary scripting languages, and the limitations of dial-up connections. Every feature, from mapping software to searchable directories, had to be painstakingly created from scratch. Zip2's technology aimed to bridge the analog and digital worlds. The goal was to help newspapers digitize their content and provide readers with interactive maps and local business information. But building this product wasn't straightforward. The team had to negotiate with multiple newspapers, each wary of investing resources in a new and uncertain medium. Sales efforts were grueling. Elon and Kimball would often travel across the Bay Area, sometimes flying to New York or Chicago, carrying laptops and presentations. They encountered a wide range of reactions: curiosity, skepticism, dismissal. Many newspaper executives doubted the Internet's staying power, clinging to the familiar world of ink and paper. But Elon's approach was unyielding. He believed deeply in the transformative power of the web and pushed tirelessly to convince others. His technical knowledge allowed him to demonstrate the product live, showing what could be done when maps, business listings, and directions came alive on a screen. The venture capital investment from Moore Davidoff Ventures marked a turning point. Suddenly, Zip2 had the funds to hire more engineers, upgrade infrastructure, and expand marketing efforts. Yet, with money came new pressures and new voices. Professional managers were brought in to lead the company, and Elon's role shifted. Though he stayed on as Chief Technology Officer, Elon clashed with executives who preferred caution over rapid expansion. He was impatient, frustrated by what he saw as slow progress and missed opportunities. This tension was a foreshadowing of many struggles he would face later, between his own vision and the demands of running a company within the traditional corporate structure. Meanwhile, the company's growth accelerated. Zip2 secured deals with prominent newspapers, helping them launch online city guides that introduced millions to the Internet's potential. For many users, the name Zip2 was unknown, but the impact was real. It was a first step toward the digital world we inhabit today. The company's sale to Compaq in 1999 was a landmark moment. Elon's share, about $22 million, was substantial, especially for someone who had endured years of uncertainty and sacrifice. But rather than slowing down, this financial success ignited new ambitions. Even as celebrations happened behind the scenes, Elon's mind was already leaping forward, imagining ventures in online finance, electric cars, and space exploration. The seed of a relentless drive to push humanity forward had firmly taken root. This chapter of Elon's life reveals a man who combined technical genius with tireless work ethic and unshakable confidence in his vision. It was a story of grit and determination, of long nights spent coding alone, of clashes and challenges, and of a relentless hunger to build the future. Part for X.com, PayPal, and the fight to revolutionize online payments. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, the Internet was rapidly reshaping the way people connected, communicated, and shopped. Yet, one of the most fundamental challenges remained unsolved: how to send money safely and easily over the web. The concept of online payments was still new, filled with uncertainty and skepticism, and fraught with technical and legal obstacles. Elon Musk saw this gap as a tremendous opportunity, a chance to transform the financial world with technology, just as he had done with Zip2 and City Guides. But this next chapter would test him like never before, pitting him against fierce competitors, complex regulations, and the unpredictable chaos of the dot-com bubble bursting around him. It began in 1999 when Elon founded X.com, an online financial services and email payment company, fueled by his vision of making banking and payments effortless and accessible to everyone with an internet connection. This wasn't just about convenience. It was about rewriting the rules of an industry that had remained largely unchanged for decades. The idea was radical: to allow people to send money via email, bypassing the traditional banking system's slow, cumbersome, and expensive processes. Imagine forwarding money as easily as sending a message, instantly and securely. For many, This was a futuristic dream, a vision that would soon become reality. Elon was not content to merely imagine this future. He wanted to build it. X.com's early days were marked by an intense focus on innovation and speed. Elon pushed his engineers to develop new payment protocols, integrate with banking systems, and create user-friendly interfaces that could appeal to millions. The technical challenges were immense, ensuring security against fraud, complying with regulations in multiple countries, and building systems that could handle a rapidly growing user base without crashing. At the same time, Elon was cultivating a company culture that reflected his own restless drive and high expectations. He demanded long hours and fierce dedication, expecting his team to share his belief that they were creating something world-changing. The office was a crucible of creativity and pressure, where ideas collided and evolved, sometimes explosively. In 2000, X.com merged with a competitor, Confinity, which had developed a popular money transfer service known as PayPal. The merger was both an opportunity and a challenge. The two companies had overlapping goals, but very different cultures and technologies. Navigating this new terrain required leadership, diplomacy, and vision. For a time, Elon served as CEO of the merged company, steering it through the tumultuous early days of the dot-com bubble's collapse. Investors were growing wary, the market was volatile, and the pressure to become profitable was intense. Internal disagreements about strategy and technology soon surfaced. Elon's vision was ambitious, but sometimes clashed with other executives' views. Tensions culminated in 2000 when he was replaced as CEO by Peter Thiel. Despite stepping down, Elon remained on the board and continued to contribute to the company's direction. PayPal, under new leadership, refined its focus and technology, quickly becoming the dominant online payment platform. Its user base exploded, reaching millions around the globe. In 2002, PayPal went public, marking a major milestone in the evolution of online commerce. Shortly thereafter, PayPal was acquired by eBay for $1.5 billion, cementing its place as the standard for internet payments. Elon's initial investment and leadership had been critical to its success, and his share from the sale added significantly to his growing fortune. But the story of X.com and PayPal is more than just a business success. It is a tale of vision clashing with reality, of the challenges in disrupting established systems, and of the tensions between innovation and management. For Elon, this chapter highlighted his strengths and his struggles, his ability to imagine and build revolutionary technology, and his sometimes difficult relationships with colleagues and investors. It was a learning ground, a place where ambition met complexity, and where the seeds of his future endeavors, marked by both brilliance and controversy, took firm root. In the final years of the 20th century, the Internet was transforming from a specialized tool for academics and tech enthusiasts into a rapidly growing public network. People were beginning to shop, communicate, and even conduct business online. Yet, despite the explosion of websites and digital marketplaces, there remained a glaring obstacle. How could people safely and easily send money over the Internet? Traditional banking systems were ill-suited for the digital age. The process of transferring funds was slow, often taking days, burdened by heavy fees and complex regulations. Consumers and businesses alike craved a faster, more accessible solution. Elon Musk, fresh from the sale of Zip2, recognized this critical gap. To him, it wasn't merely an inconvenience. It was a challenge, begging to be solved. His vision was bold. Create an online financial platform that allowed users to send money as simply as sending an email, instantly and securely. This was more than a product idea. It was a fundamental reimagining of the way money moved in the modern world. In 1999, fueled by ambition and a desire to push the boundaries, Elon founded X.com. It was a financial services and email payment company, aiming to break down the barriers that had long hindered electronic payments. The name itself, X.com, reflected the idea of the unknown, the intersection of technology and finance, a domain ripe for discovery. The early days at X.com were a whirlwind. Elon poured his energy into building a team of skilled engineers, designers, and marketers. The company culture was intense, driven by Elon's own relentless pace and high expectations. Days stretched into nights, and nights often folded into mornings, as the team worked feverishly to bring the vision to life. Technological challenges loomed large. Creating a secure, scalable platform to process payments over the nascent internet was no small feat. The engineers grappled with developing encryption protocols, integrating with existing banking infrastructure, and ensuring compliance with a complex web of regulations across different jurisdictions. Elon's leadership style was both inspiring and exacting. He demanded perfection and rapid progress, pushing his team to the limits. His hands-on approach meant he was deeply involved in product design and technical decisions, sometimes to the frustration of his colleagues. Yet, his passion was contagious, and many were drawn to his conviction that they were building something that would change the world. As X.com grew, it faced fierce competition. One rival was Confinity, a company founded in 1998 by Peter Thiel, Max Levchin, and others. Confinity had developed PayPal, a money transfer system that allowed users to send funds through Palm Pilots and later through email. Although smaller, Confinity was gaining traction with users and investors alike. In March 2000, X.com and Confinity merged in a strategic move designed to pool resources and consolidate their efforts to dominate the online payment market. However, merging to companies with differing technologies, cultures, and leadership styles was far from easy. Elon initially served as CEO of the merged entity, aiming to unite the teams and accelerate product development. However, tensions quickly surfaced. Differences in technology approaches led to internal debates. Elon favored moving to a Windows-based infrastructure, while many in the Confinity team supported Unix or Linux systems, which were considered more stable at the time. Furthermore, Elon's demanding management style clashed with other executives. His long hours and high-pressure tactics were viewed by some as exhausting and difficult to sustain. Board members and other leaders expressed concerns about his focus and communication. These tensions culminated in September 2000, when Elon was replaced as CEO by Peter Thiel, a co-founder of Confinity. Though Elon remained on the board and as a significant shareholder, he stepped back from daily operations. This transition was difficult, but underscored the challenges of balancing visionary leadership with corporate governance. Under Thiel's leadership, the company focused on refining the PayPal product, enhancing security, and building trust with users. They improved fraud detection algorithms, streamlined the user interface, and expanded partnerships with major online marketplaces, notably eBay. PayPal's growth during this period was meteoric. By 2002, it was the payment method of choice for millions of online buyers and sellers worldwide. Its simplicity and reliability helped overcome skepticism about internet security and online transactions. The company went public in February 2002, marking a critical milestone. The IPO was met with enthusiasm, signaling the arrival of online payments as a mainstream service. Later that year, eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion, integrating it as the primary payment system for its marketplace. Elon's stake in the company from the sale was substantial, further fueling his resources to pursue even more ambitious projects. This chapter in Elon's life was more than just a business success. It was a crucible that revealed much about his personality. His visionary zeal propelled innovation, but also created friction with partners and employees. The experience highlighted the delicate balance between dreaming big and managing practical realities. Beyond the boardrooms and coding marathons, Elon's mind was already turning to even grander ambitions: electric cars, space exploration, and energy innovation. The lessons learned at X.com and PayPal would inform his approach in these ventures. A blend of technical mastery, audacious vision, and a willingness to defy convention. And so, as the new millennium dawned, Elon Musk stood on the brink of transforming not just how we move money, but how we imagine the future itself. Part 5: SpaceX. Betting everything on the stars. After the financial windfall from PayPal, Elon Musk found himself at a profound crossroads. Most people would have chosen comfort, security, and the luxury that such success affords. But for Elon, these were never the true measures of achievement. Instead, his gaze turned upward, beyond the blue sky, beyond the clouds, and into the infinite blackness of space. The stars called to him, a silent challenge and a hopeful promise. His mission became clear. Humanity must become a multiplanetary species, and he would do everything in his power to make that vision a reality. In 2002, Elon founded Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, better known as SpaceX. At a time when space exploration was primarily the realm of governments and massive defense contractors, SpaceX was a bold newcomer with an audacious goal: to develop reliable, reusable rockets that could dramatically lower the cost of access to space. Elon believed the future of humanity depended on it. Starting SpaceX was an immense challenge. The aerospace industry was steeped in decades of experience, regulations, and cautious approaches. Government agencies like NASA had monopolized spaceflight for half a century, relying on established contractors who charged enormous sums for complex missions. Private companies were largely unproven and viewed skeptically. SpaceX began in a modest warehouse in El Segundo, California. The space was cramped, filled with metal parts, engine components, computer monitors, and whiteboards scrawled with equations and engineering diagrams. The air smelled of machine oil, welding fumes, and solder, a sensory backdrop to the intense work underway. A small but passionate team gathered there, united by a shared belief that private innovation could break the barriers that had long kept space out of reach. Elon was involved deeply, not just as a financier or CEO, but as a hands-on engineer and visionary. He was known for working long hours, often sleeping on the factory floor, relentlessly driving his team to meet exacting standards. The culture was intense, a blend of excitement, exhaustion, pressure, and profound hope. The engineers faced an endless cascade of technical problems, from designing engines that could deliver precise thrust, to ensuring fuel systems were safe and efficient, to building avionics that could guide rockets with unerring accuracy. The Falcon 1 was SpaceX's first attempt at a launch vehicle. It was a small, two-stage rocket designed to be cost-effective and reusable. Revolutionary ideas in an industry used to disposable rockets costing hundreds of millions of dollars. The goal was to prove that a private company could build and launch an orbital rocket. But the path was far from smooth. The first launch attempt, in March 2006, ended in failure when the rocket crashed into the ocean seconds after liftoff due to a fuel leak. The disappointment was crushing, but the team analyzed every detail, learning from their mistakes. The second launch in March 2007 failed again, this time because of a malfunction in the engine's turbopump, which cut off thrust prematurely. The third launch, in August 2008, came with heightened anxiety. The rocket reached space but failed to achieve orbit due to a software error that caused the second stage engine to shut down early. Once more, the team faced defeat, but Elon remained steadfast. The failures were not the end, but necessary steps on the path to success. Financial pressure mounted. SpaceX was rapidly spending its funds, with little revenue to show for it. Elon had invested much of his own fortune, betting everything on the company's success. The stakes were high, and failure could mean the end of SpaceX. Then, on September 28, 2008, everything changed. Falcon 1's fourth launch was flawless. The rocket roared into the sky, climbing steadily as the engines fired perfectly. As the seconds ticked by, the engineers and Elon held their breath. When telemetry confirmed that Falcon 1 had reached orbit, quiet cheers and tears of relief filled the room. The achievement was historic. The first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach Earth orbit. This success was a turning point. SpaceX secured a crucial contract with NASA to supply cargo to the International Space Station, validating Elon's vision and opening the door to the future. But the journey was just beginning. SpaceX's ambitions now focused on the Falcon 9, a much larger and more complex rocket designed to carry heavier payloads and, most importantly, to be reusable. Elon's vision was to build rockets that could return to Earth, land vertically, and be flown again, slashing the cost of space access dramatically. Building Falcon 9 required mastering complex engineering challenges. The Merlin engines powering the rocket were marvels of design, pushing the limits of power, efficiency, and reliability. The rocket's avionics systems had to precisely control ascent, stage separation, and landing sequences. SpaceX's engineers iterated relentlessly, testing engines on stands, analyzing data, and refining designs. Parallel to Falcon 9, SpaceX developed the Dragon spacecraft, a capsule capable of carrying cargo, and eventually astronauts to and from orbit. The Dragon was designed with safety and versatility in mind, equipped with heat shields for atmospheric re-entry, parachutes for landing, and autonomous docking capabilities. Each launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon carried high stakes. Failures could destroy years of work, but success promised to open a new era of commercial spaceflight. In 2010, Falcon 9 launched successfully for the first time. Then, in 2012, Dragon became the first commercial spacecraft to dock with the International Space Station, a milestone that once seemed unimaginable. SpaceX's approach was characterized by rapid iteration, learning through testing and sometimes failure. Elon's leadership was demanding, pushing his team to innovate faster and smarter. The company's culture was both exhausting and inspiring. Long hours, constant problem-solving, and the shared dream of reaching the stars. One of the most transformative ideas at SpaceX was reusability. Traditionally, rockets were discarded after a single use, making spaceflight extraordinarily expensive. Elon envisioned rockets that could land upright on Earth or on drone ships at sea, be refurbished, and launched again within weeks. This required precision engineering, advanced sensors, and innovative software, a feat no other company had achieved. Beginning in 2015, SpaceX began testing controlled rocket landings. After launches, the Falcon 9's first stage would perform complex maneuvers, reorient, and descend through Earth's atmosphere, attempting to touch down softly. Early tests ended in crashes, but persistence paid off. The first successful landing occurred in December 2015, a moment celebrated worldwide. Since then, SpaceX has routinely landed and reflown rockets, cutting costs and changing the economics of space. This innovation has made space more accessible to commercial companies, researchers, and governments. Behind the scenes, Elon's personality was a study in contrasts. His visionary optimism inspired his team, but also led to intense pressure. His work ethic was legendary, often pushing himself and others to exhaustion. At times, his directness and impatience created tension. Yet many were drawn to his conviction and the possibility of changing the future. SpaceX's long-term goal is the colonization of Mars, a vision Elon has spoken about frequently. He sees Mars as a backup for humanity, a way to ensure survival in the event of global catastrophe. The company is developing the Starship spacecraft, designed to carry large numbers of people and cargo to the Red Planet, a project that embodies the scale and ambition of Elon's dreams. Through triumphs and setbacks, SpaceX has proven that private enterprise can lead humanity's reach beyond Earth. Its rockets light the night sky, a symbol of exploration, hope, and the relentless pursuit of what lies beyond. As we look upward to the stars, we remember that these machines are more than metal and fire. They are the product of human imagination, courage, and a bet placed by one man willing to risk everything to make the impossible possible. Part 6. The Vision Beyond Earth, Starship, Mars, and the Future of Space Exploration. In the wake of SpaceX's early successes with Falcon 1 and Falcon 9, Elon Musk's vision grew ever more expansive. For him, reaching orbit and resupplying the International Space Station were milestones. Impressive and necessary, but merely the opening chapters of a much larger story. That story was about humanity's destiny beyond Earth and the belief that the future would be defined not just by our achievements on this planet, but by our boldness to settle others. Elon often speaks about the fragility of Earth, how it is vulnerable to events like climate change, asteroid impacts, or global conflict. The idea of a backup plan for humanity became a central motivation. Mars, with its reddish deserts, thin atmosphere, and endless horizons, offered the most compelling destination for a second home. It was a world of challenge and opportunity, a place where human beings could test their resilience and ingenuity on a planetary scale. But colonizing Mars is no simple feat. It requires technologies and systems that do not yet exist in fully operational form. It demands new ways of thinking about transportation, life support, energy, and society. Elon's approach was to build these technologies step by step, rapidly iterating and testing to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. At the heart of this vision is the Starship spacecraft, a vessel unlike any before it, towering over 120 meters tall when stacked with its booster. Starship is designed to be fully reusable. The rocket and spacecraft combined into a single system. It is built from stainless steel, chosen for its strength, heat resistance, and relative ease of manufacture. Its shiny surface reflects the sun's rays, gleaming in the Texas desert where it is assembled. The design goals of Starship are breathtaking. To carry over 100 people or hundreds of tons of cargo across vast distances, to refuel in orbit using tanker versions of Starship, and to land safely on distant worlds, including the Moon and Mars. It is envisioned as a key step toward making space travel as routine as airline flights. Developing Starship has been a process of rapid prototyping and public testing. SpaceX has built and tested numerous full-scale prototypes at their Boca Chica site, each with incremental improvements. These tests have included static engine firings, low-altitude hops, and high-altitude flights reaching up to 12 kilometers. Each flight tested maneuvering and landing techniques, including the dramatic belly flop descent, designed to slow the spacecraft for a controlled landing. Some tests ended in explosive failures, spectacularly destroying prototypes in fireballs that lit the desert sky. But these failures were embraced as necessary lessons. Teaching engineers what worked and what didn't, Elon famously advocates for rapid iteration. Building, testing, failing fast, and improving. This approach, though noisy and sometimes chaotic, accelerates progress and innovation. Starship's engines, called Raptors, are among the most advanced rocket engines ever built. They burn methane and liquid oxygen, a combination known as methalox. Methane is chosen not just for performance, but because it can be produced on Mars itself through chemical reactions with the planet's atmosphere and subsurface. Water, a key element of the refueling plan that would allow Starship to make the return journey from Mars to Earth. The prospect of producing fuel on Mars, called in-site resource utilization, is critical. Carrying enough fuel from Earth to return is prohibitively expensive and heavy. By extracting resources from the Martian environment, Starship missions could become self-sustaining, paving the way for continuous exploration and colonization. But the technical challenges are immense. Mars has a thin atmosphere, about 1% of Earth's pressure, making landing difficult. The planet's surface is cold and dusty, with radiation from cosmic rays and solar winds posing health risks. Habitats must shield inhabitants, recycle air and water, and produce food in closed-loop systems. Building a self-sustaining city on Mars means mastering these challenges and many more. Elon's roadmap to Mars involves multiple phases. First, uncrewed missions will deliver cargo, habitat modules, power plants, and equipment needed to prepare the surface. Then, crewed missions would follow, carrying astronauts who would begin constructing the first outposts. These initial settlers would face daunting conditions, isolated millions of kilometers from Earth, relying on their skills, technology, and each other to survive. Over time, the plan is to grow the colony, adding more settlers, expanding infrastructure, developing agriculture, and establishing industry. Elon envisions millions of people living on Mars, eventually a vibrant society with schools, cities, and economies. The idea is to create a second home for humanity, a backup for civilization, and a frontier for exploration. This vision is not without controversy or skepticism. Many experts question the technical feasibility, cost, and timeline. Others raise ethical concerns about colonizing another planet, planetary protection, and humanity's responsibilities. Elon acknowledges these debates, but maintains that the urgency of space settlement outweighs the risks. Meanwhile, SpaceX continues to test and improve Starship. Each new prototype incorporates lessons from previous flights, refining engines, structures, and control systems. The company plans orbital test flights, followed by missions to the Moon in partnership with NASA's Artemis program, and then, ultimately, Mars. SpaceX's work on lunar landers for Artemis represents an important stepping stone. Returning humans to the Moon after decades not only rekindles exploration, but also provides a platform for testing technologies that will be vital for Mars. Lunar missions will help understand living and working in low gravity, radiation exposure, and long-duration spaceflight challenges. Throughout this monumental endeavor, Elon's leadership is a complex blend of visionary optimism and unrelenting pressure. His public statements often mix technical detail with philosophical reflection. Speaking about the destiny of humanity, the wonders of the cosmos, and the need for urgent action. Behind the scenes, the pace at SpaceX is relentless, with engineers and technicians pushing limits daily. The story of SpaceX's quest for Mars is one of courage, innovation, and hope. It is a testament to the power of human imagination and the will to explore. The rockets that thunder into the sky are symbols of a future that calls us onward. A future where humanity stretches beyond Earth, into the vast, star-studded night. And so, as you listen, you might imagine the quiet moments between launches. Engineers poring over data, Elon gazing up at the stars, the soft hum of machinery, the anticipation of liftoff. This is a story still being written, an epic of dreams and daring that invites us all to look upward, to wonder, and to dream of the infinite. Part 7. Tesla and the Electric Revolution. While Elon Musk's eyes were often fixed on the stars, his feet stayed firmly grounded on Earth, driven by an equally profound mission to transform the way humanity powers itself, to shift the world away from fossil fuels toward sustainable energy, and to revolutionize transportation through electric vehicles. This was not a secondary pursuit, but a vital part of Elon's overarching vision for the future. A future where humanity could thrive both on Earth and beyond. The idea of electric cars was not new. They had existed for over a century, but for many decades they were sidelined as impractical curiosities. Early electric vehicles were slow, had limited range, and were often seen as toys or niche vehicles. The dominant internal combustion engine, fueled by cheap and abundant gasoline, held the automotive world in its grasp. Yet Elon Musk believed the future belonged to electric propulsion, clean, efficient, and capable of delivering extraordinary performance. In 2004, Elon joined Tesla Motors, a fledgling startup founded by engineers passionate about electric propulsion. He became chairman and lead investor, later stepping into the roles of CEO and product architect, where he would deeply shape the company's direction and identity. His vision was bold: to create electric cars that were not just environmentally friendly, but exhilarating to drive, stunning to behold, and practical enough to become a mass-market phenomenon. The company's first vehicle, the Tesla Roadster, launched in 2008, built on a lightweight chassis derived from a Lotus Elise. It combined a powerful lithium-ion battery pack with a high-performance electric motor. The Roadster shattered preconceptions, boasting a 0 to 60 miles per hour acceleration time under 4 seconds and a range over 200 miles on a single charge. It proved that electric cars could be fast, fun, and viable. However, Tesla's early days were far from easy. Developing the Roadster pushed the company into uncharted territory. Battery technology was expensive and unproven at scale. Manufacturing required inventing new processes, and the small startup faced intense financial pressure. Elon invested heavily from his own fortune, taking personal risks to keep Tesla alive. The 2008 financial crisis threatened to derail the company, but Elon's determination and vision kept the project moving forward. With the Roadster establishing Tesla's credibility, the company set its sights on a greater challenge: creating an electric sedan that could compete with gasoline cars on price, range, and performance. The result was the Model S, unveiled in 2012. This vehicle was a triumph of engineering and design. It offered unprecedented electric range, often exceeding 300 miles. Combined with luxury features and a sleek, aerodynamic body, the large touchscreen display, which controlled most of the car's functions, was revolutionary, bringing a new level of user interface to the automotive world. Producing the Model S was a monumental challenge. Tesla was still a relatively small company, up against legacy automakers with decades of experience and vast resources. Scaling production while maintaining quality demanded innovation in manufacturing and supply chain management. Elon famously described this period as production hell, marked by intense pressure, late nights, and relentless problem-solving. Despite these challenges, the Model S won over critics and customers alike. It earned numerous awards for safety, design, and performance, and it became a symbol of what electric vehicles could be: desirable, practical, and exciting. Tesla had proven that an electric car could not only match but surpass the capabilities of traditional vehicles. Building on this success, Tesla introduced the Model X, a luxury SUV with distinctive falcon wing doors and advanced safety features. The Model 10 expanded Tesla's appeal to families and those seeking larger vehicles without compromising on sustainability or performance. Yet, perhaps the most transformative development came with the Model 3. Elon envisioned a more affordable mass-market electric car that could accelerate the global shift toward sustainable transportation. The Model 3 was designed to balance cost, range, and performance, aiming to make electric vehicles accessible to millions. The launch of the Model 3 was a watershed moment. Hundreds of thousands of reservations flooded in before production began, reflecting enormous public interest. However, ramping up production was fraught with difficulties. Tesla faced bottlenecks in battery manufacturing, automation challenges on the assembly line, and supply chain complexities. These struggles attracted intense media scrutiny, but Tesla pushed through, refining processes and increasing output. Over time, the Model 3 became one of the best-selling electric cars worldwide, cementing Tesla's position as a market leader. The introduction of the Model Y, a compact SUV based on the same platform, further expanded Tesla's reach and appeal. Tesla's ambitions extended far beyond vehicles. The company's acquisition of SolarCity in 2016 brought solar energy production into its portfolio, integrating rooftop solar panels with home and commercial battery storage products like the Powerwall and PowerPack. Elon's vision was to create an ecosystem where clean energy could be generated, stored, and consumed seamlessly, reducing reliance on fossil fuels in homes and businesses. To support this growing enterprise, Tesla developed gigafactories, sprawling production facilities designed to manufacture batteries and vehicles at scale. The Gigafactory in Nevada, built in partnership with Panasonic, focuses on battery cell production, helping to drive down costs and increase capacity. Additional gigafactories in Shanghai, Berlin, and Texas are central to Tesla's global manufacturing footprint. Tesla's innovations have rippled across the entire automotive industry. Traditional car makers accelerated their electric vehicle programs in response. Governments around the world tightened emissions standards, and charging infrastructure expanded rapidly. Tesla's supercharger network, a system of fast charging stations powered increasingly by renewable energy, alleviated range anxiety, a key barrier to electric vehicle adoption. Yet Tesla's rise has been marked by controversy as well. Elon Musk's unfiltered communication style and ambitious timelines have drawn criticism, regulatory investigations, and legal challenges. The company has faced recalls and production delays, and competition in the electric vehicle market has intensified. Through it all, Elon's conviction remains steadfast. For him, Tesla is more than a car company. It is a mission to combat climate change, reduce humanity's carbon footprint, and foster a sustainable future. The electric revolution, he believes, is essential for the survival of the planet. Imagine now the quiet hum of a Tesla silently gliding along an open highway, the glow of solar panels on a suburban rooftop, the gentle whir of a power wall storing energy for a quiet night. These moments represent a profound shift, a future where technology, sustainability, and human ambition converge to reshape the world. Tesla's story is a testament to visionary courage, relentless innovation, and the power of daring to imagine a better future. It reminds us that true revolutions start not with grand proclamations, but with determined steps, one electric mile at a time. Part 8: Side Ventures and Big Ideas. While Tesla and SpaceX are often the centerpieces of Elon Musk's ambitious career, his restless mind and boundless energy have propelled him into a constellation of other ventures, each daring to push the limits of what's possible, each seeking to solve complex challenges in unique ways. These side projects reveal another facet of Elon's vision, a desire not just to explore space or transform transportation, but to redefine how humanity interacts with technology, infrastructure, and intelligence itself. One of the most intriguing of these ventures is Neuralink, a company Elon co-founded in 2016. Neuralink aims to develop advanced brain-machine interfaces, devices that could, one day, connect the human brain directly with computers. The potential applications are staggering. Neuralink envisions helping people with neurological disorders regain lost function, enhancing memory, or even merging human cognition with artificial intelligence. At its core, Neuralink seeks to bridge the biological and digital worlds. The company has developed thin, flexible threads, thinner than a human hair, that can be implanted in the brain to record and stimulate neural activity. Early demonstrations showcased a pig named Gertrude with a Neuralink implant transmitting neural signals, and more recently, a monkey playing a video game using only its brain activity. Neuralink's work is still in early stages, but it raises profound questions about the future of human consciousness, ethics, and the nature of intelligence. Elon believes that as artificial intelligence grows more powerful, merging with AI could be essential to preserve human agency and avoid obsolescence. It's a bold, speculative vision, one that exemplifies his willingness to confront the deepest challenges of the future. Another venture born from Elon's desire to rethink infrastructure is the Boring Company. Launched in 2016, inspired by frustrations with urban traffic congestion, Elon proposed building an underground network of tunnels to transport cars and people rapidly beneath cities. The idea was to relieve surface traffic, reduce commute times, and create a new mode of urban transportation. The Boring Company's approach combines tunnel boring machines with innovative design to lower costs and accelerate construction. Initial projects included a test tunnel beneath SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California. The company later won contracts to build tunnels in Las Vegas, where the loop system transports passengers in autonomous electric vehicles through underground tunnels. While still in its infancy, the Boring Company represents Elon's commitment to tackling persistent, practical problems with ambitious engineering. It's a reminder that not all of his dreams are distant or cosmic. Some are rooted in the daily realities of life on Earth. Elon has also played a significant role in the formation and support of OpenAI, an artificial intelligence research lab. Founded in 2015 with the mission to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. OpenAI represents a collective effort to develop AI safely and ethically. Though Elon stepped back from day-to-day involvement, his early support and advocacy reflect his broader concerns about AI's transformative power and risks. Beyond his formal ventures, Elon Musk's influence extends across industries and ideas. He has proposed the concept of a hyperloop, a high-speed transportation system, using pressurized tubes and pods that could whisk passengers between cities at speeds exceeding 700 miles per hour. Though not a company Elon runs directly, the idea sparked a wave of innovation and prototypes worldwide. Elon's approach to entrepreneurship is marked by an intense focus on first principles thinking, breaking down complex problems to their fundamental truths and reasoning upward from there. This mindset drives his willingness to tackle projects others might consider impossible or too risky. Throughout these ventures, Elon's public persona is complex and often controversial. His social media presence can be unpredictable, mixing humor, technical insights, bold statements, and occasionally polarizing remarks. Yet, this openness also humanizes a figure who operates at the very edges of technology and ambition. His work reflects a deep belief in technology's power to improve humanity's future, coupled with an urgency to act before it's too late. Whether through rockets, electric cars, brain interfaces, tunnels, or AI, Elon Musk's projects weave a narrative of innovation driven by necessity, curiosity, and relentless optimism. As you listen, picture the hum of servers powering AI research, the steady grind of tunnel-boring machines deep underground, the flicker of neural signals being decoded, and the vision of a future where human life is enhanced and expanded through technology. These side ventures may seem disparate, but together they form a tapestry of daring ideas, a testament to one man's belief in the boundless possibilities of human ingenuity. Part 9: The Mars Dream and Beyond. Elon Musk's vision for humanity has always stretched beyond the confines of our blue planet. While Earth is our home, he sees it as fragile, a place where life as we know it could be wiped out by a single catastrophic event, whether a climate crisis, an asteroid impact, or human conflict. For Elon, the survival of our species requires looking outward to the stars and establishing a self-sustaining civilization beyond Earth. This vision is centered on Mars, the red planet, but his dreams extend even farther. The dream of colonizing Mars is audacious. It involves sending thousands, and eventually millions, of people across millions of kilometers of empty space to create new cities, ecosystems, and ways of life. It is a challenge that touches every field of human knowledge: rocket science, biology, architecture, ecology, psychology, and social governance. Elon approaches this dream with a mix of optimism, pragmatism, and urgency. The Starship spacecraft, developed by SpaceX, is the vehicle designed to turn this dream into reality. It is the culmination of years of innovation, testing, and iteration, fully reusable and powered by next-generation Raptor engines. Starship is intended to carry large crews and cargo to Mars and back. Its design prioritizes efficiency, safety, and reusability, key factors to make interplanetary travel economically feasible. Landing Starship on Mars is one of the greatest engineering challenges humanity has ever faced. Mars has only about 1% of Earth's atmospheric pressure, making aerodynamic braking difficult. The spacecraft must execute precise entry, descent, and landing maneuvers, slowing from thousands of kilometers per hour to a gentle touchdown. To accomplish this, SpaceX has designed Starship's unique belly flop descent maneuver, flipping onto its belly to create drag, then flipping upright for landing using its engines. Once on the Martian surface, the real work begins. Establishing a human presence on Mars means creating habitats that shield settlers from radiation, provide breathable air, and maintain livable temperatures. Elon envisions pressurized domes and underground shelters, equipped with life support systems that recycle air and water. The colony will require sustainable food production, power generation, likely solar and nuclear, and robust communication links back to Earth. Elon Musk has often emphasized the importance of insight to resource utilization. Instead of hauling everything from Earth, the colony must extract water from Martian soil and produce fuel and building materials locally. This approach reduces launch mass and costs, enabling the colony to grow independently. Beyond the technical, the psychological and social challenges loom large. The first settlers will be isolated millions of kilometers from Earth, facing long communication delays and harsh living conditions. Maintaining mental health, social cohesion, and governance will be vital for survival. Elon imagines Mars as a new frontier of human civilization, where new ideas about society and governance can be tested. But Elon's vision extends beyond Mars. He talks of the stars, of humanity becoming a multiplanetary species capable of venturing throughout the solar system and eventually beyond. Colonies on the Moon, Mars, and perhaps the moons of Jupiter and Saturn could serve as stepping stones for deeper exploration. These dreams are tempered by the realities of physics, economics, and time. The technology needed to colonize Mars is still in development. The costs are enormous, the risks immense. Yet for Elon, the urgency is clear. The longer humanity waits, the more vulnerable we become. SpaceX's Mars ambitions have inspired a new era of space enthusiasm. Governments, private companies, and individuals have renewed their interest in exploration and settlement. International collaboration and competition push innovation forward. As you listen, imagine the vast Martian deserts, the pale pink sky at dusk, the quiet hum of habitats supporting life in an alien environment. Picture the first humans stepping onto the dusty red surface, looking back at the tiny blue dot that is Earth, and forward to the stars. This is a story still unfolding. A narrative of hope, courage, and the relentless human desire to explore and survive. Elon Musk's Mars dream captures that spirit, inviting us all to imagine a future where humanity's destiny is among the stars. Part 10. Public Persona and Controversies. Elon Musk's story is as much about the man himself as it is about rockets, electric cars, or revolutionary technology. Over the years, he has emerged as one of the most polarizing and talked about figures in modern history. His public persona is a complex tapestry of brilliance and intensity, visionary ambition and unpredictability, relentless drive and human fallibility. To understand Elon Musk fully, one must look beyond the headlines and examine the intricate interplay between his extraordinary achievements and the controversies that swirl around him. From early in his career, Elon was defined by an unyielding work ethic, known for working upwards of 80 to 100 hours per week. He often slept at factories or offices to be close to the pulse of his company's operations. This level of commitment has inspired teams to achieve milestones once thought unreachable. Yet, it has also fostered cultures of intense pressure and high expectations. Employees often describe environments charged with innovation, but also marked by exhaustion and burnout. The demands of working under Elon's leadership can be exhilarating but grueling, a testament to the double-edged nature of relentless ambition. Elon's approach to communication stands apart from most corporate leaders. He embraces a raw, unfiltered style, using social media, especially Twitter, as his personal broadcast platform. Through tweets, Elon shares everything from major company announcements and technical insights to memes, jokes, and spontaneous reflections. This openness offers a unique window into his thinking, but also invites volatility. His tweets have the power to sway markets, shape public opinion, and sometimes ignite controversy. One of the most notable instances occurred in 2018, when Elon tweeted that he was considering taking Tesla private at $420 per share and claimed funding was secured. This statement triggered an SEC investigation, resulting in a settlement that required Musk to step down as Tesla chairman for a period and pay fines. This episode starkly illustrated the tension between Elon's desire for transparency and rapid communication, and the regulatory frameworks governing public companies. Elon's social media presence remains a double-edged sword. While many admire his directness and authenticity, critics argue that his impulsive posts risk misleading investors and complicate his company's operations. He has faced legal challenges and regulatory scrutiny, yet continues to wield social media as a powerful tool to bypass traditional gatekeepers and engage directly with the world. Beyond social platforms, Elon's relationship with the traditional media is complicated. He often criticizes journalists and news outlets for what he perceives as bias or unfair treatment. At times, he uses interviews and press events to control narratives, clarify misunderstandings, or reveal new information. Yet, his bluntness and occasional dismissiveness towards critics can escalate tensions, reinforcing a perception of him as both a genius and a disruptor who resists convention. Elon's personal life, though generally kept more private, has nonetheless attracted considerable public interest. His high-profile relationships, family life, and eccentric behaviors have been widely reported and sometimes sensationalized. This media attention, while often intrusive, adds another dimension to the public's fascination with him. Politics is another arena where Elon Musk's public persona reveals complexity and contradiction. In early 2017, Elon accepted a position on former President Donald Trump's Economic Advisory Council, signaling a willingness to engage directly with political leaders to shape policies affecting his companies and industries. This move was pragmatic, reflecting Tesla's and SpaceX's reliance on government contracts, incentives, and regulations. However, the partnership was short-lived. The Trump administration's decision to withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement in 2017 clashed with Elon's commitment to sustainable energy and climate action. In response, Elon publicly condemned the withdrawal and promptly resigned from the advisory council. This act demonstrated his willingness to take principled stands, even at the risk of political fallout, and reaffirmed his alignment with environmental causes central to Tesla's mission. Despite this clear break, Elon's engagement with politics remains nuanced and sometimes controversial. His statements on issues ranging from immigration and taxation to climate policy and artificial intelligence reflect a blend of libertarian ideals, pragmatic entrepreneurship, and bold futurism. Occasionally, his comments spark heated debate, with supporters praising his candor and critics accusing him of irresponsibility or inconsistency. Elon's outspoken nature extends into public health, most notably during the COVID-19 pandemic. Early in the crisis, he expressed skepticism about the virus's severity and questioned government-imposed lockdowns and restrictions. His decision to keep Tesla's Fremont factory open despite local orders generated intense criticism from health officials, employees, and the media. While some applauded his defense of economic activity and individual freedoms, others worried about the potential risks to workers' safety. The pandemic episode exemplifies Elon's contrarian streak, his tendency to challenge consensus and prioritize his own judgment, even amid uncertainty. This trait has fueled both admiration for his independence and concern about the social responsibility that comes with influence. Workplace culture at Elon's companies has also been a frequent subject of controversy. While Tesla and SpaceX are often hailed as innovation powerhouses, reports have surfaced describing grueling working conditions, demanding hours, and high stress levels. Some employees praise the mission-driven environment and the chance to contribute to groundbreaking projects, while others highlight burnout, exhaustion, and challenges balancing personal life. Labor relations have been especially contentious. Efforts to unionize at Tesla faced resistance, leading to allegations of anti-union practices and subsequent investigations by labor authorities. These conflicts expose the tension between fostering a fast-paced culture focused on rapid innovation and ensuring fair, humane treatment of workers. Elon's penchant for dramatic statements and confrontations adds further complexity to his public image. He has engaged in high-profile disputes on social media, including accusations against critics, journalists, and even employees. Some of these exchanges have resulted in lawsuits or formal complaints, magnifying media scrutiny. Yet through all these controversies, Elon Musk commands a remarkable degree of loyalty and admiration. Millions view him as a visionary pioneer willing to take extraordinary risks to solve humanity's greatest challenges. His role in advancing electric vehicles, space travel, renewable energy, and emerging technologies has reshaped multiple industries and inspired a new generation of innovators. Elon's public persona is a study in contrasts. At once inspiring and flawed, charismatic and contentious, visionary and impulsive. This duality reflects the broader complexities of leadership and innovation in a rapidly changing world. As you listen, imagine the relentless media spotlight, the swirling storm of public opinion, the rapid-fire tweets shaping headlines, and the quiet moments behind closed doors where decisions that could alter humanity's future are made. Consider the challenge of balancing boundless ambition with the weight of public expectations. The fine line between genius and controversy. Elon Musk's journey through public persona and controversies reminds us that transformative figures often evoke polarized responses. They challenge norms, inspire change, and sometimes disrupt comfort zones. Their legacies are not defined solely by triumphs, but also by the messy, human realities that accompany great ambition. In the end, Elon's story invites us to reflect on the nature of progress, how it is driven not just by ideas and inventions, but also by personalities, passions, and the complexities of the human experience. It shows us that the path to a better future is rarely smooth or simple, but often paved with challenges, contradictions, and debates that shape the story of our times. Part 11: Legacy, Love Life, and the Unfinished Story. Elon Musk's journey is far from over. As much as his life is a saga of groundbreaking achievements and controversial moments, it is also a continuing story, one that intertwines legacy, personal relationships, and the ever-evolving quest to shape humanity's future. When we speak of Elon's legacy, it is impossible to ignore the seismic impact he has had across multiple industries. From transforming electric vehicles with Tesla, revolutionizing space travel with SpaceX, to pushing the boundaries of renewable energy, artificial intelligence, and brain-computer interfaces. Elon's vision has fundamentally altered how we imagine the future. His relentless pursuit of ambitious goals has accelerated technological progress and inspired countless innovators worldwide. Yet legacy is not built on achievements alone. It is also about the stories we tell, the people we touch, and the influence left on culture and society. Elon's public persona, a blend of visionary, disruptor, and sometimes provocateur, has made him a symbol of possibility, resilience, and the complex human spirit behind innovation. His personal life has been as multifaceted as his career. Elon's relationships, marriages, and fatherhood reflect a man navigating the same universal challenges of connection, love, and family. Through his experiences, we see the human behind the headlines, a figure seeking meaning, companionship, and balance amid the whirlwind of global attention. Elon's romantic relationships have often been in the public eye. His marriages to Justine Musk and Talia Riley, along with high-profile partnerships with figures like Claire Boucher, known professionally as Grimes, have been covered extensively. These relationships reveal a side of Elon marked by deep affection and complexity, navigating the interplay between personal intimacy and public scrutiny. Fatherhood, too, plays a significant role in Elon's life. As a father of multiple children, he has spoken about his hopes for their future and the importance of creating a world that offers them opportunity, safety, and wonder. This personal dimension grounds his larger mission, reminding us that behind the technological ambitions is a parent invested in the legacy left for the next generation. The story of Elon Musk is very much an unfinished one. The projects he leads continue to evolve. Starship rockets prepare for Mars missions. Tesla expands its global footprint. Neuralink pursues breakthroughs in brain-machine interfaces, and new ventures emerge from his restless mind. Each endeavor carries the potential to redefine aspects of human life. Yet each also faces challenges, uncertainties, and setbacks. This ongoing journey reflects the nature of innovation itself. Never static, always a work in progress. Elon's story invites us to embrace uncertainty, to remain curious, and to recognize that the future is shaped by continuous effort, adaptation, and hope. As you listen, imagine the quiet moments after a long day's work, the fleeting glimpses of family life amidst rocket launches and factory floors, the visions of cities on Mars and electric highways glowing under starry skies. Picture a man whose dreams stretch beyond the horizon, fueled by both personal passion and a deep commitment to humanity's future. Elon Musk's legacy is still being written. It is a story of ambition and vulnerability, of triumph and controversy, of technology and humanity intertwined. It reminds us that the greatest stories are not those that end neatly, but those that keep unfolding, challenging us to dream bigger, reach farther, and live with purpose. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the life and legacy of Elon Musk, mad genius, visionary, and relentless dreamer. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing to the channel for more immersive stories to help you relax, reflect, and fall asleep. Your support means the world and helps us keep creating content that inspires and soothes. Good night and sweet dreams.